was first invited to make this short 10 minutes speech, I made some readings on the SMEs, but our subject is mainly for this roundtable is the CVET and after the continuous VET for the SMEs. So first, I will give you a brief overview of the situation, the SME situation in Turkey, which is not much different than the other countries. Mr. Stevanovic made it very clear, for example, for the Serbian case and for the Serbian case. It's not much different, but it gives us a foundation to make sense out of the second part of the presentation that I'm going to make. So with no further ado, okay. Like in every country, these guys, the SMEs, are a significant amount of the total entrepreneurs. In Turkey, it's 99.8 if you make a head count, okay, and 72% of the employment. And I'm sure that in your countries, all across the EU, the situation is pretty much the same. They make a significant amount of the labor spending, and production output is again significant amount. And well, when it comes to where they work, at least over here in Turkey, 36% is in machinery, 14 in logistics, and 12 in manufacturing. Why these numbers? Because like our participant from the previous participant has very beautifully outlined, we need to make our homework and learn what we are dealing with. And we are dealing with a large number of people, and most of them are in these fields, okay? And most of them are in the low technology intensity sectors, at least over here, 56%. Certainly, as in every region, every country, they are pushing these SMEs to move up in the ladder of the technology to middle and high, but it's tough for them. And CVET sometimes is the solution, is the solution, but still, these guys are a significant amount of the export and import, especially over here. So over here, during the COVID pandemic, it became very clear that large companies are like Titanic. It's very hard to steer around and change their directions, but SMEs are not like that, especially during the COVID era. It became very clear with a very little support and training to these people, you can create a big difference, especially pandemic, which lasted longer than a year, and we don't know when it's going to be over. Some say one year later, minimum 1 year later. So we are facing an era, a very interesting era, which is we are under this COVID influence for a period of longer than 3 years, and SMEs really became very valuable over here. And their education became more important because with a very little education and a very little support, these guys successfully and quickly can rearrange their organizational structure and their connections, their networks, because these are small companies. We just mentioned about those. Not so many people are working in them. And when it comes to the region, actually, we are all in the same ship. At least the SMEs in Turkey are in the same ship, because the bulk of their international relationship is with the European Union. More than half is with the European Union, both in the export and the import. And why we need CVET? We need CVET because we want them to get high tech. Why we need high tech? Because we want them to get their patents. Do they get their patents? The picture is very small. The way I'm reading this picture is, it's promising. The SMEs, they have some patents. Well, the smaller they get, the less number of patents they have. But these guys, when you support them, they are able, they are capable. There is some capability over there. So there's still some room to go. You know, with a little investment in CVET, you can make a big difference. You can, create income for the company, for the country, for the surplus. You can create trade, and also you can push them to invent new things and get patents, international patents. That was the first part of my presentation, basically to give you an idea that the picture is not much different in my region than the rest of the EU. And in my second part of the presentation, I will share with you my experiences, my personal experiences with two institutions that I'm involved within the last 2 years. Normally, I'm an academician at the university. My life is in classrooms with students and a couple of projects. But the last 2 years, somehow I got connected with these institutions. One of them is COSCAP. And COSCAP is a government subsidized institution. Basically, it's trying to create link between the SMEs and the SMEs and the government. Basically, COSCAP is the first one. It's a continuous web facilitator, and they have several programs. In a moment, I will share with you these several programs. But my experience over the 2 years was when I first involved in this. Actually, I'm presenting it as sort of a best practice. I wasn't expecting. I didn't believe at the time that these programs had so much impact on the SMEs, both to solve their problems in their business life, but also to educate them. Because when it comes to solve the problems of the SMEs throughout the life learning process, the only way is to teach them what they do not know, because you cannot solve we all know that we cannot solve the problems of the SMEs. All we can do is to teach them how to solve it, whether it's financial, in the financial era, trading era, or technical era. It doesn't matter. Okay, they see these continuous education, continuous education in several areas. But my experience, based on my experience, I'm going to just outline these three: the financial, entrepreneurial, R&D, and trade. These ones, because they somehow, from the chamber of their proficiency, and through some engineering associations, if they want to, they somehow try to keep themselves updated. But when it comes to these issues, R&D, entrepreneurial, how am I going to go to the other countries? How am I going to increase my network? And the financial, most of these SMEs, they are illiterate, because these are not technical stuff. These are things that they learn as they proceed in the work life. From the financial perspective, most of them, we observe that they lack financial literacy, and this financial literacy creates a problem along the way. You train these people from a technical perspective. They apply these technical knowledge on the field, let's say, which is actually, I know, is a problem itself. But let's say even you do it, when it comes to using it for trading purposes, using it for the business, we observe that they make serious mistakes. They don't know how to access the financial resources. Even if they have access to financial resources, they do not know how to do the basic calculations and move along the way. So at the end of the day, when the game is over, they find themselves in a situation which they hadn't foreseen at the very beginning. And they ask themselves, where did I go wrong? Well, they didn't go wrong anywhere. They just read the book wrong. They just do the calculations wrong. There is a global innovation index announced every year. I find it very useful. I think it's a joint product of one American and one European universities, and it just came out. The Global Innovation Index 2020, it just came out, and the number, it contains numbers for all the countries and the regions. I find that report very beneficial in order to see whether we are successful and how successful we are. In terms of Turkey, there are things that we do right, we do good, and things that we are still in the same place. Okay, with the help of the institutions like COSCAP, for example, the credit score went up. That's good news. But we don't see a significant increase. The very last line, for example, shows us the credit score from the last 4 years. These are the ranks, arbitrary scores, and it's increasing. So one thing, SMEs are able to access credits better than they used to. Okay, but do they still have the financial literacy? For example, one problem, we don't have the microfinance. I just happened to be at a conference 3 days ago. We still don't have the microfinance system over here, and we still don't know how to work here. And there, at that moment, at that point, comes a very important thing that we found out, especially from the experience of India, that women are at the heart of this microfinance. So the problem, I want to give money to the SMEs. Wonderful. I don't want to give them very large credits sometimes. I want to give them smaller credits, sometimes even microfinance. Wonderful. Who am I going to trust? Not the man, not the owner of the job. But if there's any woman involved, that works much better. However, Turkey is still silent on that. So if you're really small, your access to credit is very limited. Number one. Second one is entrepreneurial. COSGAP runs several programs when it comes to entrepreneurial, and the object of this, go find the technology which is new, because that's going to make you innovative, and with the innovative comes the entrepreneurship. So you don't jump to the train from the very last wagon and say, let's get entrepreneurial and innovative all of a sudden, but you tell these people, guys, you have to train yourself in order to be innovative, or at least join the networks where you can support and be innovative, and we can train you on those. Does it work? I think it works not so bad. It works not so bad. The patent numbers that I just showed you is an evidence of that, and the numbers are increasing. Are we there yet? No, we are not there. We are not there yet. The Global Innovation Index numbers show us that it's improving, but very slowly. But it does. So we are doing some things right here. So support opening these entrepreneurial programs for SMEs for continuous education, but forcing them to learn the technicals, to keep themselves updated, works to some extent. That's a good chain of reactions. It seems to be a good chain of reactions. R&D is just part of this, because when you push these guys to learn the new techniques with a carrot on the stick of you're going to get innovative, and after then you're going to get you are going to become an international entrepreneur and the international field, that's a really juicy carrot for these SMEs. It seems to work, and so we also support that with the R&D and innovation support programs, especially focused on the small and medium-sized. Just a moment. Small and medium-sized enterprises. Bring us the new ideas, and we will shape it up. We will shape it for you. Basically, these guys don't know. Most of the main problem of the SMEs, which requires the continuous education, is they don't know how to part. And when it comes to the COSGAP's main objective is to solve that how to part. You want to conduct our research and development? Let's do it together. You want to become entrepreneurial? Okay, we can show you which continuous educations that you have to take on. And currently I am actively participating in the International Market Support Program, which is bring us your project, and we know that you are stuck in your neighborhood. We want to take you out of your neighborhood, and we want you open to the world. There are really some very good practices. For example, there was this one company which was producing cakes, brownies, and I'm just sharing it with my students as well as a success story. And with the support of this program, now they are able to market it to Starbucks across the Europe, which is a really good success, because Starbucks is a good, reliable customer, which you can have. You can generate a significant amount of cash. And before joining this program, for example, before going to the trainings, it was a dream for them, and they were believing that it would be impossible to do so, but it works. The second group that I'm involved in is the Chamber of Mechanical Engineers. They are doing completely something different. These guys have trainings, short trainings, similar to our friend, similar to what our friend is trying to achieve, who joined us from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Education. These guys are focusing on the education, and I've been with them for 10 years now. And my observation is that small pieces of knowledge which you're going to give to these guys, but on a regular basis, makes a difference. You cannot push them, but they come, and you keep it free, completely free, and you make yourself accessible. You can make yourself accessible on a frequent basis, and basically you keep the source free, and it seems to work actually from the continuous education perspective. And now that during the COVID era, we learned that we can do this online. The education, it was transferred to online. I think it's a great opportunity because now we all experienced and saw that you do not have to be in the same city, you don't have to be in the same country in order to get the education. Only if it is not hands-on, of course. Hands-on education still have to be face-to-face. So I would like to conclude my presentation with just an idea that I would like to offer to the consortium, because this is also an Erasmus project consortium, as far as I know. For example, this is what can we do? This is just an idea for us to just think later. Maybe a new Erasmus program. I discussed this. I have been discussing this for 2 years with my partners at the university. Startups, when they reach their third or fourth years, which means they are not a real startup anymore, but they are kind of mature, they start looking for venture capital or an angel investor. But part of it is they have to present themselves. When it comes to the presenting themselves, we see that there is a big problem. They have no idea on how to sell their idea or their company to anyone across Europe from the financial perspective. They are unable to they are unable to talk the language of the angel investors or venture capitals, and that's where they get stuck. So clearly, we need a program which is going to focus on startups and SMEs in order to enhance their financial literacy. This is my offer because that's my field. That's the idea that I can have. So, for example, we can come up with these and the similar ideas and create new projects and initiate new platforms to just solve one problem at a time. Just like one of our presenters said, it's one project at a time. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention.